JBN, we keep you informed. Man killed by mob after allegedly injuring woman. A man who was beaten by a mob in burnt Savannah, St. Elizabeth on Saturday after he allegedly slashed a woman's throat, died a few hours later at hospital, reports say. He has been identified as 41-year-old laborer Damien Rankin of burnt Savannah. According to reports, the two were at a shop when an argument developed. It is alleged that Rankin pulled a knife which he used to slash the woman's throat. Residents rushed to her assistance and Rankin tried to hide in the shop. He was set upon and seriously injured by the angry residents. He was eventually rescued by the police and was taken to the Black River Hospital along with the woman. Rankin succumbed to his injuries at about 3 p.m. while the woman was admitted in serious but stable condition. Clarendon farm worker collapses, dies in the U.S. Marcia Edwards of Crooked River, Clarendon, has a sense of regret that she never pressed her husband Earl not to take that final trek to the United States to work at Geber Farms. Mrs. Edwards got the crushing news on Friday, July 31, that her husband collapsed in the bathroom while he was taking a shower. The cause of death has not yet been confirmed, but Mrs. Edwards said that her husband had undergone a COVID-19 test, the results of which have not yet returned. More than a dozen Jamaican farm workers contracted COVID-19 in Canada, but the United States has been the epicenter of the pandemic's explosion over the past 4 months. There have been 4.7 million coronavirus infections in the U.S. and more than 157,000 related deaths. A second wave of the disease has pushed infections in Washington state, where Geber Farms is located, to 60,000 with almost 1,700 fatalities. Mrs. Edwards remembers well the last conversation she had with her husband hours before he died. Mr. Edwards called her while she was in Maypen, the Clarendon capital, and told her that he was feeling unusually hot. He also urged her to be gentle with their last daughter, the baby of the family. The Clarendon widow, who has been in a relationship with Mr. Edwards since 1996, said that on the night he died, he had called his daughter in Canada and repeatedly told her how much he loved her. After that, he told her he was going to take a shower. He later died. The Crooked River widow said that she is still reminiscing on their 18 years of marriage, which bore 2 children. Mr. Edwards has 2 other children. His death has left me devastated and totally sad. In a strange way, I am taking comfort in a Bible verse that can be found in Luke 17:34. 2 shall be in the bed, and 1 shall be taken away, Mrs. Edwards said on Sunday afternoon. My husband was a community person. He was a great father, and he was my everything as a husband, she added. Mrs. Edwards' grief is compounded by the fact that many Jamaican farm workers who traveled in the COVID-19 era had signed a Ministry of Labor-issued document indemnifying the Jamaican government against responsibility if they contracted COVID-19. Geber Farms, a leading producer of apples, pears, and cherries, has been employing Jamaicans for years. Mrs. Edwards is urging the government to be more involved with workers when they leave Jamaica's shores. He told me that they discouraged them from going on the road to the shops, as they said it wasn't safe, but there were no preparations made for them to get food, Mrs. Edwards said. Mrs. Edwards is also warning Jamaican farm workers interested in enrolling in the program to ensure that they have adequate medical and insurance coverage. New Jersey prosecutor to review death of Jamaican businessman, director of the New Monmouth Community Law Enforcement Unit, Christopher Decker, has committed to giving audience to the grieving relatives of deceased Jamaican businessman Rasheed Edwards. Edwards was found with a gunshot wound to the head inside the garage of his Wall Township home in New Jersey earlier this year. His death has been ruled a suicide, but his relatives suspect foul play. As a prosecutor, I cannot discuss the case, but I can tell you that my office is open to meeting with and listening to Edwards' relatives as to whatever evidence or grouses they may have with the case. I can also tell you that 2 pathologists have ruled the death a suicide, Decker said. Edwards' relatives are contesting the ruling as both reports have concluded that no gunpowder residue was found on the right side of his head where the bullet entered. They are also contending that Edwards was right-handed, but the gun was found in his left hand. Can you explain how a man used his left hand to shoot himself in the right side of the head? That alone sounds incredible. than the fact that no gunpowder residue was found on his hands, and also the fact that there were no powder burns, which means the fatal shot was fired from some distance, is very puzzling to us, Edwards' elder sibling, Damien Edwards, said. The family is, however, somewhat relieved that the prosecutors extended an invitation to meet with them. This is the first step. We felt railroaded, as our cries have been falling on deaf ears so far. So the move by Mr. Decker is welcomed. All we want is justice for Rasheed. And if it can be proven without a reasonable doubt that Rasheed did take his own life, we'll have to accept it and move on. However, the way things are being presented to us leaves a lot to be desired, Damien said. The family is now in the process of hiring a civil rights attorney to oversee their interests, as they claim the police in Wall County have not been open in releasing the full findings of their investigation. The 33-year-old Edwards, the last of 5 siblings, grew up in Whitehall Gardens, St. Andrew. His body was flown to Jamaica for internment last month. Man freed of murder charge after 100 court appearances. It took 13 years and at least 94 court appearances before 10 judges and 4 prosecutors before a murder case against Linford Allen was tossed for lack of evidence. It's a situation Justice Minister Delroy Chuck admits should not have happened. Allen, who describes himself as a country boy who came to town seeking to join the army, believes he fell victim to the police's desire to convict someone for the 2005 murder of 28-year-old financial analyst Jamie Lou. The Crown alleged that Lou was abducted in the Constant Spring area in December 2005 and taken to Grand Spence, St. Andrew, where he was forced to give up the PIN numbers for his debit cards. Withdrawals were then made from automated machines at several banks. Lou was then shot dead and his body discovered in the back of his Honda CR-V along Mayfield Avenue on December 31, 2005. Allen was among 6 persons, including 2 women, charged in the wake of the murder. He was the last to be freed of the charges. Speaking recently, Allen recounted the early morning raid when a flying squad officer took him and his then-girlfriend from the room in which they slept in Grand Spence. For 3 weeks, neither knew where the other was in the police lockup system, and for 49 days, he saw neither a judge nor a lawyer. When his girlfriend was released on bail, she began a search at various lockups for him. When he was found in Portmore, he was visited by the first lawyer he saw, who the police said was sent by his parents, but he later discovered was a state-provided legal aid counsel. "I'm certain that I go to court more than 100 times, he said. "I went to halfway tree court more than 4 times. And even the day when the judge offered me bail is not on the list from the DPP's office, but what they have on record is 94 times. The list he referred to, prepared by the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, chronicled Allen's court appearances in a June 20, 2020 letter to Attorney-at-Law John Clark. It shows that he was charged on March 17, 2006, and his first court appearance came nearly 8 months later, on November 2. His final court appearance was on October 8, 2019, when the matter was dismissed. Allen believes the justice system is designed to send poor people to prison even when they're not guilty. "I went before 10 judges and 4 prosecutors. One of them, prosecutor, got a fiat from the DPP to try the case," he recounted. "You know what hurt me most of all? One of the prosecutors looked at my lawyer and said, 'All right, John Clark, everybody knows you're a poor people lawyer.' And me turn around and say, 'Yeah, that's why you want me to go to prison just because me poor.' And she reports that me threaten her," Allen said. "It burned me because it means that the state wants to send me to prison, even when it know it never have no case against me. Them keep coming to court and giving reason after reason until the judge find me not guilty based on their case. It not right, miss, it not right," he said, the pain heavy in his voice. Allen disclosed that he now has to seek medical attention regularly because of beatings he received while in custody. "They wanted me to become a witness for the state, but I tell them I don't know anything about the murder. They delay and delay and delay like them trying to beat something out of me or force me to say something. And I keep telling them I don't know anything about the murder," he said. Allen said the regular pain he feels are part of the scars from the incarceration. He's now bringing a suit against the state, and his lawyer Clark said that Allen could not have committed the murder as medical records show he was hospitalized at the time. Clark believes Allen was being schooled to become a Crown witness. It's an abuse of power by the state, and it has been going on for a long time, and it happens mostly to poor black people, the attorney said. Prisoners are treated better than detainees at the Arise Remand Center. As an unconvicted man, he had less rights than the convicts, Clark added. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck said that while he's not aware of this specific case, the details as related were alarming. It is really quite unconstitutional to drag a case out for such a long period and take an accused person back to court in excess of 10, 30 times, much less 94 times. To my mind, at some point, the Crown should have made a decision to stop the case by nolle prosequi, a formal notice of abandonment by a plaintiff or prosecutor of all or part of a suit. Or if the Crown fails to do so, it is my view that the courts should dismiss the case for want of prosecution, he said. I just think it's an injustice to be taking accused persons back to court over and over and over again. It should never have happened, the Justice Minister said. Chuck added that during his more than 30 decades in the courts, in many instances in the parish courts, individuals were charged with very little evidence. Whenever I appeared as a counsel, I would ask the judge to note the number of court appearances and ask that we agree to dismiss after the 10th or 15th time for want of prosecution, he said. His experience during those days led him to believe that 90% of cases in the parish courts were not ready for trial. Chuck admits that the system needs to be fixed, and he wants a 5-year cap on court appearances. There needs to be a tidying up of the criminal justice system so that, firstly, there should be a proper case against a person before they are charged. Secondly, you should not be going to court for longer than 5 years. If the case cannot be tried within 5 years, it should be dismissed, he said. The DPP and her office must ensure that the matters are dealt with in a timely manner. Any case over 5 years should be dismissed. He added, I would urge and argue that the Crown, where it is unable to complete a case within 5 years and after 15 or 20 appearances, should really consider whether the matter should not be dismissed. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.